In this video, I'm going to teach you how to get rich and achieve financial freedom. My name is Jawader and I'm a senior software engineer and investor living in New York City. I may or may not be on track to becoming a liquid millionaire in my 20s. I'm very fortunate to be financially secure and have more money than I need. Luckily, I don't need to worry about money anymore the way I used to as a kid, which is honestly a dream come true, considering I was born in a third world country, come from an immigrant family, and English isn't my first language. So if I can do it, you can as well. There's two main points that I want to cover in this video. First, let's get crystal clear on what being rich actually means. Is it having $1 million in the bank, 3 million, 10 million? How much money is actually enough? Obviously, if you don't know what your target is, how can you even really expect to hit it, right? And second, I'm going to share the one and only ingredient that you literally need to achieve said riches and freedom. So let's get straight into it. First, we have to literally define what it means to be rich, right? Most people automatically think of owning luxury cars, watches, designer clothes, and fancy dinners, but being rich actually has little to do with most of that stuff. It actually has more to do with obtaining freedom and knowing when enough is enough. Trust me, there's so many so-called rich people who spend so much in expenses every single month that actually end up living check to check because they want to look rich instead of building lasting wealth. And with these inflated expenses, it becomes nearly impossible to maintain this lifestyle while saving enough for retirement. With that said, most people don't actually need to have a crazy $10 million net worth to be considered rich, as long as you have complete time and location freedom. This basically means that you can wake up every single morning and choose when, where, and what to work on, and you have complete control over your time so that you can do what's important to you. Whether it's being with family, building a passion project and business, or pursuing your hobbies or other interests, or whatever else you want to do, this ultimate life flexibility is way more valuable than that Ferrari or any other material possession that you can think of. I kid you not. Ferraris are obviously cool, I want one too, but priorities obviously come first. So how exactly do you achieve this freedom? There's actually two realistic paths that can get you there. Technically, there's a third path where you're just born with rich parents and a trust fund that pays for your whole life. But since that's not exactly a realistic strategy for 99% of us, myself included, let's just focus on what we can actually control. The first path is what I call the minimize approach, where you live a very minimalistic lifestyle by getting your monthly expenses as low as possible. This can also be done by moving somewhere with an incredibly low cost of living. Places like Mexico, Bali, Brazil, or Thailand come to mind, where you get a lot more value for your money by spending and making USD in a country where the currency conversion is obviously more favorable for you. This is called geographic arbitrage, where $500 a month might get you a nice apartment and $5 gets you a great meal. Obviously, this isn't going to be in New York where I live or any other major city with a decent cost of living. It's also not an approach that I find appeals to most people because everybody wants to live a fun, complete life with friends and family nearby, and living with extremely low expenses isn't really that fun, to be honest, and so obviously to each their own. The second path is what I call the freedom fund approach, which is backed by the rule of 25 and the 4% rule, which was made popular by the FIRE movement. The rule of 25 basically says that you need to save 25 times your annual expenses to retire. For example, if your yearly expenses are $40,000, you need a nest egg of $1 million invested into the market. Basically, financial mathematicians did the boring hard work for us with the 4% rule, which says that you can withdraw 4% from this nest egg each year to cover your living expenses without ever running out of money in retirement. So here's what you do. First, calculate what a comfortable life in retirement costs you monthly and then yearly. Do this by thinking about where you want to live. Factor in expenses like your car, food, family plans, maybe a couple of vacations a year, and then multiply that annual figure by 25. This number that you get is your freedom number, which is the exact amount that lets you exit the rat race and beat the money game forever. Game over, you win. And you might actually be surprised with how much lower this number ends up being than you expected. A lot of people think you need an absurd, crazy amount of money to retire. Personally, I calculated my freedom number when I was 18 and very naive, so I underestimated how much a comfortable life actually costs, especially now that I live in New York City. I managed to hit that number though, fortunately, and now my target is way higher because I want to have a big family and retire my parents as well, so the journey definitely continues. I love working anyway, so I wouldn't even retire even if I could because I'm young and I like to stay busy. I wouldn't even know what I would do anyways retiring so young. That's the beauty of it all. You can do what you want, and so this is going to be different for everyone. Now, how exactly do we get to this freedom number? Long story short, this isn't financial advice obviously, but I can just go tell you to get a high-paying job in tech or finance, maybe even sales, law, or medicine, making at least 6 figures, then build a business on the side and then invest the majority of your income by living below your means into yourself, the S&P 500 and Bitcoin every single month, and then just hold forever, which sounds really simple, right? Just make a lot of money and then save and invest most of it. Definitely a revolutionary insight, I know. Obviously, this is easier said than done since you might not work in those industries or have those specific skills, but this isn't supposed to be easy or else everybody would be rich. it's the approach that worked for me and is basically the play for most people if you don't come from a rich family or aren't a professional athlete or famous entertainer of some sort. Obviously, if you make 200K plus in tech as a software engineer or as an investment banker in finance right out of college, it's pretty likely that you'll become a millionaire in your 30s or even 20s if you just invest right and don't blow your money. With that said, famous entrepreneur and investor Naval Ravikant argues that the greatest way to achieve financial freedom is through owning equity in businesses or starting your own business rather than selling your time at work. But everyone's journey to wealth is obviously different. Some people get there with a 9-to-5, others build and sell their business. It all really just depends. But what I can say is that every single successful person that I know shares this one thing in common, and it's literally the only thing that you need to become successful. And if you take anything away from this video, just know that in order to become rich, all you need is obsession, desire, and daily consistent actions towards this goal. That's it. Everything else does not matter. All the hacks that you're looking for or the exact path to get there are all in the work that you're avoiding. You'll just figure everything out along the way, and you just have to be so obsessed with it and just keep trying and building valuable skills and just keep stacking days of growth every single day. Being obsessed with anything also means sacrificing a ton, which a lot of people aren't willing to do. That might mean working on weekends or sacrificing some level of balance in your life to get ahead, because you can't really have a completely balanced life when you're trying to get an outcome that most people don't get. So start with building a high income skill, invest every month, and then build your own business if you want. When you start to walk on the way appears. Everything else is figure outable. One of my favorite quotes from the best-selling book Think and Grow Rich says, "Riches do not respond to wishes, they respond to definite plans backed by definite desires through constant persistence." When I look back at my personal financial journey, it's funny to think about because ever since I was a kid, I was just so obsessed with becoming rich and successful and doing well in school. And I know people don't usually like to admit stuff like that out loud because it comes across as pretentious, but I hope you can appreciate the honesty. I'd work 2 jobs, have side hustles selling sneakers, and always tried different ways to make money online. I wish I could tell you that I had spending problems or that I went broke multiple times in the process of coming up to come across as more relatable, but honestly, it just wasn't the case for me. Back in the day, if my check was $1,000, I'd be the type of person to save 900 of it. I kid you not. I was just so focused on being financially disciplined and stacking my bread to invest. And so while I was preparing this video or thinking about what I was gonna say, I was really thinking hard about why this really was the case for me, right? Like, why did managing and growing my money come so natural to me when most people usually struggle with it? And I realized that it wasn't natural talent or inherent intelligence, whatever that means. It was actually something a lot more powerful. I was just tired of being broke. Flat out, or in other words, I just had raw desire and obsession fueled by pain, which obviously sounds so dramatic, but it's the honest truth. You know, growing up in an immigrant household, obviously I saw firsthand what financial instability looked like, and I never forgot that feeling. My parents obviously worked really hard and sacrificed a lot, but I've always felt like I had a personal responsibility to change our situation at some point, and I knew exactly what would happen if I didn't figure out this money thing. I wouldn't be able to retire my parents or take care of my future family comfortably, and I'd be stuck in the same weird cycle of stress over money and not being able to do the things that I want to do, like travel and enjoy myself. And deep down, all of us just want to live comfortably and take care of the people that we love. And through reflecting on all of this, what I've learned is that when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the discomfort of changing, transformation is inevitable. You'll find a way. Every adversity brings with it the seed of an equivalent advantage. That burning desire basically pushed me to learn things about money, business, and investing that I never would have discovered, all because I took that first step and figured things out along the way. So much of my time, energy, and mental bandwidth went to learning, failing, reading, and trying different things that got me closer to my goals. And the beautiful truth is that no matter what your current financial situation is right now, if you're blessed enough to have an able body and mind, internet access, and some resourcefulness, you can completely transform your financial reality in 1, 3, 5, or 10 years. You might not get rich quick, but you'll get wealthy in this lifetime if you have genuine desire backed by consistent daily action. Maybe not a millionaire by 30, but you'll get there eventually. And I'm sure you'd rather it happen at some point than never at all. So ask yourself right now, what's your deep emotional reason for wanting financial freedom? Find that powerful why, fuel it daily, and the rest will take care of itself. If this video resonated with you at all, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel and my newsletter for more content on achieving financial freedom, and I'll see you in the next video.